Human beings have been endowed with 8 senses. We normally hear only of 6 senses, sometimes only 5. The 5 senses of a human being are senses for perception, for experiencing this world. The 5 senses, seeing, touching, tasting, smelling, all these are 5 senses are only for perceiving and experiencing this world. There's something beyond that, called the 6th sense. At one time people thought only women have the 6th sense. Actually we all have the 6th sense, it's called intuition. Intuition is more important for a human life than the 5 senses. But the 5 senses are shared by many species, but the 6th sense is not shared by them. The intuition is unique to human beings. But you will find in life more important than even intuition is the 7th sense. The 7th sense is called common sense. It's very uncommon. Common sense is the ability to distinguish between what is a priority and what is not, to distinguish what is important and what is not. If you look at your own lives, you find how often our priorities go wrong. And because our priorities are wrong, everything goes wrong. And if we straighten out our priorities by knowing what is important, what is not, our life would be different. So to prioritize your life and to make more important things more important and ignore the trivial things is a very great secret of improving your life. Therefore, common sense is important. But the 8th sense is the highest sense of all. That's called the sense of humor, the ability to laugh. The ability to laugh at any situation, the ability to laugh at your own situation, the ability, while trapped in this physical world, to laugh at it and get out of it. So this sense of humor is very important. And what I have noticed is, in my association with several masters, that the perfect living masters had perfect sense of humor. And they always could laugh at any situation and make us laugh at the same situations. So the sense of humor is important. In meditation, many people meditate very seriously. You can see on their faces. But many people say, what is there to be serious about it? We are having an encounter with reality. We are going to meet our master. It's something to have a smile on our face. So the veteran practitioners of meditation, they have a smile on their face when they meditate. They have a smile on their face internally. On the image they make of themselves and of the masters, both have smiles on their faces. So that's a great advantage in meditation. I got 2 more jokes today. And one from my good friend Rishi, who I really appreciate for, I don't know if you can see at this distance, this joke is called Polly Learns a Lesson. It's about a parrot. This is, with no picture, also a parrot. And the other, Jonathan's joke is also a parrot. So today, let's start with 3 parrot jokes. Why I say parrot jokes? Because parrots can imitate human language. Whatever we speak, they can speak. They are very good copycats. And we are living in a world of copycats. Everybody wants to copy everybody else. The biggest copycat is called the negative power, the time factor, which has copied the ultimate creative power. Ultimate God has been copied by time and was doing the same thing. I want souls, like you produce souls. I create my own minds and I attach the minds to the souls. So the parrot jokes have been very popular, and they have also been popular in spiritual literature. And I'll start with these jokes and then tell you the spiritual joke. This I have to read. Three sons left home, went out on their own and prospered. Getting back together, they discussed the gifts they were able to give to their elderly mother. The first said, I built a big house for our mother. The second said, I sent her a Mercedes car with a driver. Third smiled and said, I've got you both beat. You remember how mom enjoyed reading the Bible? And you know she can't see very well anymore. I sent her a remarkable parrot that recites the entire Bible. It took elders in the church 12 years to teach this parrot. He's one of a kind. Mama just has to name the chapter and verse and the parrot recites it. Soon thereafter, mom sent out her letters of thanks. Milton, she wrote to one son, the house you built is so huge. I live in only one room, but I have to clean the whole house. Gerald, she wrote to the other, I am too old to travel anymore. My eyesight isn't what it used to be. I stay most of the time at home, so I rarely use the Mercedes and the driver you sent. But the third son, she wrote, Dear Donald, you have the good sense to know what your mom really likes. The chicken was delicious. Okay. This has come from Edward. I think Edward brought it. Polly loves the lesson. Once upon a time, in a parallel universe, a fine fellow by the name of Frank received a parrot as a gift for his birthday. The parrot was fully grown with a bad attitude and a worse vocabulary. Every other word was an expletive. Those that weren't expletive were, to say the least, rude. Frank tried and tried to change the bird's attitude, constantly using gentle speech, playing soft music, meditating, anything he could think of to try to set a good example for the parrot. Nothing worked. Frustration ensued. He yelled at the bird, and the bird got worse. He shook the bird, and the bird got angrier and ruder. Finally, in a moment of desperation, Frank put the parrot in the freezer. For a few moments, he could hear the birds squawking, kicking, and screaming, and then suddenly there was quiet. Frank was frightened that he might have really harmed the bird and quickly opened the freezer door. The parrot calmly stepped out onto Frank's extended arm, looked directly into Frank's eyes, and in a milder than usual tone said, I am sorry that I have offended you with my language and actions. I ask your forgiveness. I will correct my behavior. Frank was astonished at the change in the demeanor and was about to ask what had induced such a dramatic shift when the parrot continued, with your permission, may I ask what the chicken did?
Some people say, I don't believe in God, I'm an atheist. And they are the same people who later on say, thank God I'm an atheist. See, there's a story about a bear. There was a bear in the forest, and an atheist was walking in the forest and he saw the bear chasing him. He ran as fast as he could. The bear chased him faster. He looked back, the bear came closer and closer. The bear ultimately hit him and made him fall down and took his paw about to hit him. At that time, the atheist says, oh God, save me. And everything froze, and a voice spoke from the sky and said, you didn't even believe I exist. And now, in the time of distress, you are calling my name. He said, sorry God, I did not believe in you. I know it's too late for me to become a Christian at this time, but can you make the bear a Christian? And the voice said, so be it. And the bear who was going to strike him suddenly removes his paw and puts his paws together, and he says, thank you God for the food you give. Nothing changes. So these stories, it doesn't mean what you believe or not believe. The laws are prevailing. The laws prevail no matter what your belief system is. Therefore, it's not the belief system that creates anything for you. Everything is created by a law, and the law is universal. And sometimes I use a joke when the subject becomes too serious. And this is not about spiritual talk. I've given talks in universities on other subjects. I give a talk on economics, I give talks on investments in different areas of the world. Whatever I learned in my college or school, I've been using that to give talks on other subjects. And I sometimes find if the talk is too technical or something, then people have a tendency to go to sleep. There was one professor, he was talking of a serious subject, and he noticed, it's a scientific subject, and he noticed that in the middle, people were nodding and going to sleep. He stopped. When a speaker stops, people wake up. Why did he stop? He said, do you know, I am reminded of a small thing that a little child taught me. People listened. Technical stuff is not being told now, a child story. A child asked me, why are fire engines painted red? Why are fire engines red? And I tried to tell him, red is color of danger. Maybe red is color of blood, that's why it became color of danger. He says, no, uncle, that's not a true answer. I tried some other positive answers. He said, no. I said, then you tell me, why are fire engines red? He said, fire engines are red because fire engines have 4 wheels and 8 men, and 4 and 8 makes 12, and 12 inches makes a ruler, and Queen Elizabeth is a ruler. But Queen Elizabeth is also the largest ship that sails the 7 seas, and seas have fish, and the Finns have fins, and the Finns fought against the Russians. These fire engines are always Russian about, therefore they are red. Everybody was awake. And then the scientist said, that's why I told you the joke, because you lost your attention in my subject. But when I tell a little story, everybody is awake. During the lunch break, I think somebody might have been inspired by the jokes they heard, sent to me an email. I thought I'll share with you. It says, I would be interested to know how you respond to those questions about what one can ask for as a present for a holiday gift. I happen to know how Santa responded to one of his requests of a 7-year-old boy who lost his twin brother during the year. Missing the death of his brother so much, he sent Santa Claus a letter. Dear Santa, instead of giving me presents, can you give me a little brother this year? Santa wrote back, okay, send me your mother. All kinds of emails. Someone sing.
Beloved Ishwarji, do you have any new jokes for us?
My jokes have become old because I repeated them so often. The last one was about people trying different occupations. I have a friend who was a medical assistant, wants to do insurance. I have another friend who says he was a doctor, but he wants to practice real estate. I have my neighbor in Chicago who is a qualified engineer, but sells property. Engineer, and says it's too dangerous. A doctor says there are liability laws here, I am becoming this. From there I read a joke which is relevant to this, that once there was an engineer and he couldn't get a job. So he decided to become a doctor. He opened a clinic and put up a sign, sure cure for all illnesses. Fee $500. If we don't cure you, I'll give you $1,000. A big notice. So a real doctor came and said, this is obviously fake. I'll get some money out of this guy. So he goes in and he says, Doctor, I have lost the taste in my mouth. Something is going wrong. Do you have any prescription for that? Yes, I have. Nurse, open bottle number 22 and put 3 drops in his mouth. The nurse goes, put 3 drops. Oh, there's gasoline. The taste is back. Give me $500. Takes $500. He says, this is terrible. I'll try again. I'm going to get my 500 back plus 500 more. Next time he says, Master, I am getting pre-symptoms of Alzheimer's. I don't remember anything. Any treatment for that? He said, yes, I have. Nurse, open bottle number 22. Put 3 drops. He put, oh, this is the same gasoline. Your memory is back. Give me $500. Now I've lost 1,000, I must get it back. He goes back. Doctor goes back. Now, doctor, my eyesight has gone so weak I can hardly see. Any treatment for that? Sorry, I have no treatment for that. Here's your $1,000. You take it. But this is 500. Oh, you got your eyes back. But some mystics, even some yogis and swamis, have found that if you want to really convey a message, make a joke out of it. One swami, he normally uses this method and conveys his spiritual messages by making it humorous and like a joke. I heard one of his talks. He begins by saying, any Gujaratis here sitting, please? Anybody from Gujarat? 1, 2, okay. There is little reference to Gujaratis in this conversation I'm going to have. So please don't mind and don't get up to say anything after hearing this. Okay. The learned Swami started his talk by saying, once upon a time there was a barber who had good business. He used to cut men's hair, a haircut, and give them shaves. His practice grew. He had more and more customers, and he would thank God Almighty for the good business he was having. But he said, words are not enough. I should do something better to express my gratitude to God. So he decided the first person who ever comes to his shop in the morning will get a free haircut or free shave. So next day, after a decision, a florist who used to sell flowers in that area, he came for a haircut. So he cut the hair and said, Mr. Florist, you are the first person. Out of gratitude to God, I'm not going to charge you anything. Florist was happy. Next morning, there were 12 bouquets of flowers placed outside the shop of that barber with a note. I am happy to learn gratitude to God. These 12 bouquets are given to you as my gratitude to God. After a few days, a baker came. He got a haircut. And the barber said, you are the first one to come today. As my gratitude to God, you don't have to pay for your haircut. He said, thank you. Next morning, there were 12 loaves of bread outside the barber shop with a note. We are very happy to learn that we can express our gratitude to God, and here are a gift to you for that. After a few days, one Gujarati customer, a Gujarati customer came and he got a haircut, first person. After the haircut and shave, the barber said, you are the first person to come here, so I will not charge you anything, as gratitude to God. Gujarati said, that's very good, thank you. Next morning, there were 12 Gujaratis standing outside. They said, we are all first comers. Now, here is a man, here is a Swami trying to introduce an important subject. And he starts with this joke. And then he says, I just took an example of Gujarati because I'm a Gujarati. That's why I could take this example. I wouldn't have taken it. It can apply to anybody. He said, the point I was making is, how many of us are takers and not givers? And then he explained what happens when you take and what happens when you give. When you take, you get what you've taken. But when you give, you get something you can't get by taking, called satisfaction in your heart. Satisfaction comes when you give, not when you take. Therefore, he was advising that it's a spiritual life to give. Give when the giving is yours, as Prophet Khalil said. Give when the giving is yours and not of your inheritors. So giving is a big thing. So that is why it's an important subject he was teaching. But he introduced a joke for that. This reminds me of a joke. Shall I tell you a story? Sometimes we make stories of people who come from Punjab. You know, Punjab is the state from where I came. Our culture is very different there. We call our culture agriculture. So that is why when the Punjabis come here and look for jobs, they have a little difficulty. I also had a little difficulty to get a green card or to get a job. Now, I was talking of the eyes and ears. That is just a way of saying that the basis for our experiences, the basis why we create distance, which we see as distance, is built into our eyes. Why we see direction built into our ears. This is a normal function of the human function of these organs. They are much deeper than the inner eyes and inner ears. They also function very similarly. They also create distance and also directions. But what I was going to tell you was that three gentlemen, I won't give you their names, I'll call them ABC. They came, they were detectives in the police department of Punjab government. And they decided to immigrate and come to United States and join the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. An inspector of the FBI interviewed them. The first guy, Mr. A, comes in, and the inspector says, you have shown you have a lot of experience of detective work. I am going to test you. On this screen in front of you, a small computer screen, I will flash the picture of an actual suspect we have in custody. I'll show you for 30 seconds. And you tell me, if you see that person, will you be able to identify him and how? So a picture was flashed for 30 seconds. And the man said, that was no problem at all, Inspector. I can always find him because this guy has only one eye. He said, did you realize it's a profile we are showing you? Get out of here. Then came the second person. Mr. B is interviewed. And he's flashed the same picture and says, can you tell? Oh, no problem. I can find this man. He has only one ear. He says, you are seeing the profile from the side of a person. You are not seeing the whole person. Get out of here. Now the clever Mr. C comes and he says, I'll show you the same picture I showed others and tell me how you can recognize it. When the picture was flashed, this man said, I can tell you. This suspect of yours is wearing contact lenses. Now that was a big thing. He said, hold on. He checked, is the suspect that we have in custody really wearing contact lenses? Answer was yes. Mr. C was hired. But this inspector was surprised in 30 seconds. The man can judge from the side of the eye he's seeing that the person is wearing contact lenses. That's a great ability. I'm amazed how he did it. So after a week or so, He asked Mr. C, please tell me genuinely, how did you know that person was wearing contact lenses? He said, that was simple. If a person has only one eye and one ear, he can't wear regular glasses. I'm glad we have two eyes and 2 ears. Just a story. This is not from Rishi. A US patrol agent catches an illegal man crossing the border from Mexico. He pulls him out from the bush where he was trying to hide. And he says, sorry, you know the law. You got to go back across the border right now. The Mexican man pleads with him, no, senor, I must stay in the USA. Please help me. The border patrol agent thinks to himself, I am going to make it hard for him. And he says, okay, I'll let you stay if you can use 3 words, English words, in one sentence. The Mexican man, of course, agrees. The border patrol agent tells him the 3 words are green, pink, and yellow. Make a sentence. Now use them in one sentence. Mexican says, okay. The phone, it went green. I pink it up and says yellow. Have you heard the story of blessed water? I heard from a saint the other day. People were asking him all kinds of questions. One said, how do you deal with these fighting, argumentative spouses that you have? A woman was complaining, my husband always argues, fights with me, and we have a terrible life because of that. Holy man, can you do something for me? And the holy man said, yes, I'll try to help you. Bring a bottle of water. I will bless it. And then you can use it. So the woman went and brought a bottle of water, and the holy man put some mantra on it and recited some verses on it and said, here, this is blessed water, take it. And she said, how often do I give it to my husband? Holy man said, it's not meant for your husband. It's meant for you. When your husband argues, take one sip of this water. Keep it in your mouth till he stops. And then swallow. If he starts again, take another sip. He said there'll be no argument and no fight. Such an easy solution by a bottle of water. It has to be blessed. Destiny does not change. If we had to relive this whole show again, it'll still be the same. But we think, no, we won't do it next time. If we get another chance, we won't do it. You see, we have been given chances all the time. I tell you a little story about chance, just to relieve the, it's too heavy stuff, what I'm talking about. To lighten it sometimes. In this country, I heard when I first came, they said that blondes are stupid. I didn't believe that. Perhaps I still don't believe. How can the color of the hair determine whether you are stupid or intelligent? It's not possible. But then a guy arranged a big conference to prove that blondes are not stupid. He called 100 blondes to a meeting. And he said, I am going to prove to you that blondes are not stupid. So he said, any volunteers? And a young girl raised her hand. So he called her to the stage. And he said, I am going to ask you a simple question so everybody can listen. How much is 10 and 15? Add them, how much is 10 plus 15? A blonde girl said, she made some face like that, like most blondes make. And she said, oh, is it 22? And he said, give her another chance. And the whole audience said, give her another chance. So he gave another chance. How much is 10 plus 5? She said, 12. He said, let's give one more chance. Give her another chance. Oh, the whole audience said, give her another chance.
He said, what is 2 plus 2? She said, 4. The whole audience said, give her another chance. Anyway, this was just an aside. We get chances in life. We are always having a second chance, always having another chance. But we get caught up in that.
Anyway, I am very happy that I could make you all laugh. It's nice to laugh. They say laughter is the best remedy. There is many ways to laugh. I haven't generally spoken about this subject of laughter too much. But the truth is, if you examine the power of laughter, and I talk about the sense of humor and the eighth sense, the highest sense, how do we express it? Smiling, laughing. And that is why it is true. Laughter is a very good remedy. It makes you feel happy, takes you out of depression, takes you out of so many negative things. So laughter is a good thing, but there are many kinds of laughter. I don't know if you analyze them. At one time, I tried to analyze what types of laughter do we have. I discovered that the most common laughter why people laugh is in what they call the vowels in English language. A, I, E, O. This is ha 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 ha, like that. Or he he he. Hoo. These are vowel laughters. Very common. The less common one is where you want to laugh, but the laughter cannot come, it's too much in you. An example would be, oh, you can't even get it out. But the most interesting form of laughter is where you cannot know if the person is laughing or crying. I'll give you an example. I'm glad you all laughed. Thank you. And perhaps you thought I only knew how to give spiritual talks, which I've learned from that class. No, I can also talk about laughter.